beneath the cold bite of steel. The handcuffs clinketed with every slight movement, as humiliating in a courtroom that had already made its verdict, at least in their eyes. Commander Alexandra Hayes, a decorated Navy SEAL sniper, stood tall despite the weight they had placed on her. The guards gripped her arms like she was a threat, but she didn't resist. She didn't need to. The bass voice echoed, charges disobedience. Violation of protocol, unauthorized disobedience. The word seared through the room like a brand, but not one soul dared meet her gaze. Not the prosecutor, not the jury, not even her former commanding officer, who sat quietly at the back, eyes buried in shame. To them, she was guilty. To her, she was. Simply unfinished. Only moments earlier, they had dragged her in through front doors, not even granting her dignity of a side entrance. Cameras flashed. Murmurs rippled like to stamp under. A war hero paraded as a criminal. No one asked why. She did it. No one cared. Alexandra Hayes had many enemies. Not on the battlefield, but in boardrooms. Once she had been a shadow hosting through enemy lines, saving lives before the threat even knew it existed. Her spotter used to call her phantoms. Now they called her a disgrace. The weight of a decade off service pressed on her ribs. She could still feel the desert's choking heat against her skin, the coppery tang of blood in the air, the faint scent of gun lingering on her gloves. Those Marys weren't ornaments. Each one was a wound stitched shut with resolve. She'd watched her brothers fall one by one. And when the day came that an intelligence failure nearly cost the lives of 30 civilians, she had disobeyed order to stand down, because a standing down meant letting them die. She squeezed a memory of that mission like a stone in her palm. The chain of command had said, wait. She had moved 3 pulls of the trigger, 3 lives erased to save 30, and for that, they shackled her. The courtroom was suffocatingly silent now. As the prosecutor continued his parade of accusations, she could feel their disdain like static in the air. The system didn't care about the lives she saved, only that she broke the rules. And yet she stood there, shoulder squared, as if the handcuffs were no more than silk ribbons. A young officer sitting in the crowd, a fresh cadet perhaps, shifted uncomfortably. He knew had heard of her phantoms. I wasn't a name, easily buried. But silence seconds in the room. The prosecutor's words were venom. Commander Hayes willfully disobeyed a direct order, compromising the chain of command and jeopardizing. The courtroom door scraped open. The noise, slight as it was, stopped everything. Footsteps entered, measured, deliberate, carrying weight of oceans. The room's oxygen seemed to collapse. One by one, heads turned, jaws slackening, hearts thudding like war drums. Admiral Robert Grayson, his uniform glistened with service esters, each one earned through decades of storms, wars, and decisions that left most men broken. His presence commanded reverence. No one expected him to appear. No one had summoned him, hadn't asked permission to speak. His voice broke through the silence, grave and wavering. Remove those handcuffs. The guards hesitated. For a heartbeat, the entire courtroom teetered on the edge of obedience and fear. I said, high size burned like iron through ice. Remove them. The keys fumbled, the cuffs fell away from her wrists, clattering to the floor. Alexandra flexed her hands, the red imprints still carved into her skin. The prosecutor stammered. Admiral, this is highly irregular. Irregular. Grayson's voice sharpened like a blade. So is dishonoring the finest sniper this Navy has ever seen. The walls, unsensitive with condemnation, now sagged under the weight of the Admiral's words. She disobeyed. Grayson's gaze swept across the courtroom. She chose humanity over protocol, and I would have done the same. She didn't compromise the chain of command. She reminded it what it should stand for. Alexandra's throat tightened, but she said nothing. Silence was her armor. Silence was her weapon. The Admiral turned toward the judge. You may proceed, but you'll do it knowing this. Heroes don't always wear the approval of their work. Sometimes they're only badges life they save. The prosecutor's peppers trembled in his hand. The judge, visibly shaken, glanced around as if searching for a corner to hide in. But a public gallery, silent moments ago, began to shift. One by one, they stood. Veterans, officers, even civilians, Aslan salute. Not a word spoken, not a tear shed, just reverence carved into the air. It was not Alexandra's voice that freed her. It was her history, her sacrifice, and the weight of those who finally chose to remember. Silent isn't weak, Grayson said as he passed her, his voice low but sharp enough to cut through time. It's the language of Vasu who have nothing left to prove. That line would echo long after the courtroom emptied. Her story wouldn't fill the headlines. No medals would follow, but something far greater lingered. Honor finally returned to the one who had carried it alone. If you believe that true strength is often silent, that real heroes walk among us unnoticed, share where you're watching from, leave a comment, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories that honor those who speak through their actions.